Liverpool get 3 points today, and that was the only thing they needed today. They are now 4 wins away from lifting the Premier League trophy, equaling Manchester United's 20 league titles, and I feel sick. I know Liverpool have been winning the league for the last 2-3 months. I knew it was happening, but every win, every day is a day closer to that day, and I do not like it. So in today's video, we're not just going to talk about Liverpool and their chances of winning the league title, because I think that is 99.99%. But we also will talk about Liverpool 1, Everton 0, because there was a few interesting talking points. It wasn't the most exciting game. It wasn't Liverpool's best performance, but it was a game where Liverpool did enough to win, deserved to win. They won the game. Diaz was excellent. Robertson was excellent. Curtis Jones did a very good job at right back. Jota got the most Jota goal you will see. And Paul Tierney, yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a good record when it comes to refereeing Liverpool games. I can see why Liverpool games don't like him, because I'm going to say this, and this might be an unpopular thing. So I did a video about why everybody dislikes Arsenal, and I said because Arsenal fans are the loudest. We always hear, Arsenal have been robbed, the referee has robbed them, and Arsenal have been very unlucky with some refereeing decisions this season. But then Arsenal fans will say, oh, Liverpool are lucky. Liverpool are only going to win the league because they're lucky. VAR is hoping Liverpool win the league. And I'm like, okay, they get the odd penalty here and there, and Salah scores a penalty. But 9 times out of 10, it's because it is a penalty. And Liverpool have been shafted in both games versus Everton. Michael Oliver in the first game, blowing the whistle 2 minutes after he should have blown the whistle, and some of the decisions he made with the fouls. But, Everton should have had 10 men. Within 10 minutes of that game, Everton should have been down to 10 men. Pickford even could have picked up a few cards. So there's always this talk of, Arsenal have been robbed. Arsenal have been robbed by the referee. And Arsenal have had some bad decisions. But I also think that Liverpool have had a lot of bad decisions, as has Manchester United, as has Wolves. But I feel like because Liverpool will win the game, nobody will talk about how bad the ref was today. Whereas if Arsenal played that game and it was 1-1 versus Everton, all you'd hear about is the ref. I feel like when Arsenal go on and on and on about them having the worst decisions and the ref being against them, I feel like they are the loudest. But as someone that watches Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester United, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, as someone that watches a lot of football, yes, Arsenal had some unlucky decisions, but Arsenal fans acting like Liverpool have had lucky decisions is crazy, because I'm a Manchester United fan saying this, and Liverpool haven't had luck with referees this season, despite the narrative online. They just win games, even if the referee shafted them, so it doesn't get spoken about as much or highlighted. But anyway, continuing on, this is the league title, and Liverpool are 4 points away. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the title race, and then we'll talk about a few other things. Liverpool 4 wins away. It just makes me feel sick as a United fan. Like, you're actually going to win it. There's a chance you bottle it, but if you've lost 1 game all season, I don't see you losing 4 games of your last 7. Especially when you haven't got anyone particularly difficult. Arsenal's your toughest game. I also think, this was a game where I think your performance was all right. I think you deserved to win. You did enough to win, but we've seen you perform better. But it wasn't about the performance, it's about getting the win. And it's a Merseyside derby, it's going to be tough. I think Nunes and Curtis Jones really got stuck in and brought that. They were up for it. Diaz was up for it. And it was a tough game. It was a physical game, and you did what you needed to do, and you won. I do think Salah was a bit quieter today. I don't think Szoboszlai had his best game, but I thought that Liverpool were good enough. I think Salah has been quiet the last few games, and I do think he's a bit exhausted. And I look at it, and I do think one of the weird things about Slot is Chiesa. Man of the match last game, not a single minute. We're going to talk about Chiesa, because that was weird. But yeah, clean sheet, solid performance, got the job done, and I think that's all Liverpool fans care about, the 3 points. You are now 4 wins away from the league. Arsenal could give you a guard of honour, which I guess would be quite funny. Anyway, let's talk about my point, okay? Because obviously everybody goes on about referees and that. Man United have had some awful referee decisions against them. Arsenal had some poor ones against them. I think the Rice red card was silly at the beginning of the season. I agree with that. But Liverpool have also had some bad decisions against them. And as someone who watches a lot of football, I feel like it's not, okay, VAR are just against Arsenal, or VAR are just against Liverpool. But it is VAR and the refs are incompetent. They're getting a lot wrong. We need to improve the standard of the refereeing in this country. I don't think there's corruption. I'm not going to say there's anything like that, but I think there's incompetence. I think they're consistent incompetence. And if there's anything, it would be an unconscious bias. I've always felt it's not corruption, but because teams like Brighton are likeable, they play nice football, Man United always get shafted against Brighton, I find, and Brighton always get nice decisions. Whereas because United, Arsenal, and Liverpool are the 3 most hated teams in the country, and the media coverage of Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal is always more negative compared to a City. You know, you look at the media coverage of a Phil Foden compared to a Bukayo Saka. You know, when Phil Foden plays well, look how much hype he gets, for example. You know, Manchester City always get really good media coverage when they're playing well, but Liverpool don't get that, or United wouldn't get that credit, or Arsenal wouldn't get that credit. You know, because we're the most hated teams and we get the most clicks, and negativity about us causes things. I think there's an unconscious bias where United, Arsenal, Liverpool, they don't get a lot of luck. They don't get a lot of luck with referees this season. I don't think it's corruption, but I think it's incompetence. And I thought Liverpool, you know, Paul Tierney was crap. Michael Oliver hasn't been good for United. Anthony Taylor hasn't been good for Chelsea. Paul Tierney hasn't been good with Liverpool. It's a thing. There's certain refs that aren't good with certain clubs. And Liverpool fans, because they won the game, they won't speak too much about the refereeing. Whereas had they drawn the game, maybe it's a bit louder. But this is one of those games, had this happened to Arsenal, it's all over the media. It's all everyone's talking about for a week. Do you know what I mean? And I feel, going back to Arsenal saying Liverpool are lucky, Liverpool have had more luck with injuries. And yes, Arsenal had a lot of decisions go against them and no luck with injuries. But Liverpool are not lucky to win the league. Liverpool on track to get 93 points. Arsenal have never achieved 93 points in their history. I hate saying this as a Man United fan, but Liverpool well and truly deserve to win the league. It's not luck. And while Arsenal have been shafted by VAR and referee decisions, both games Liverpool played versus Everton, they also didn't get much luck. And they also had decisions that went against them. Michael Oliver in the last game, Paul Tierney today. Everton should have had 10 men. So I think this Liverpool are lucky. I don't get it. And I'm a Man United fan. I'd love to say Liverpool are lucky. But they're not. Like, 93 points you're on track for is ridiculous. Arsenal have never got that in a season. Anyway, let's talk into individual player performances. Diogo Jota, that was the most Jota goal ever. And, you know, fantastic quality, fantastic finish, a few little touches, puts it in. I don't think Jota's been in top form for a while, but that goal shows what he can bring. In tight spaces, you need someone to finish a chance in a tight space, not an easy goal to score, and Jota does that. And I think Jota, confidence is a big thing. That goal can bring the confidence. Maybe he can improve his performances. I think him and Nunes could be moved on in the summer. I think there's talk of Diaz being moved on, but I think Jota, because of his injuries, and Nunes is probably the two. If I was Liverpool, I'd look to move on. I think Chiesa will probably go, and we'll talk about that in a second. Luis Diaz was my man of the match, always trying to make things happen. I thought Curtis Jones did a really good job at right back, strong defensive shift, didn't look out of place, gave everything. I feel with Curtis Jones, he's a workhorse, and you know, you can tell he's scouts. He knew the derby, he knew the occasion, he was there. He was in there. You know, I thought he looked really good at right back today while Trent is out. Robertson, very good game actually. I thought Robertson was one of the best players today. I thought McAllister was decent. I thought Kelleher made some good saves, but Diaz is definitely my man of the match. Robertson probably second, I'd say. But Luis Diaz was electric, and I'm going to speak in more detail about Luis Diaz in a second. But one guy that should have got on the pitch is Chiesa. I've had a few criticisms of Slot, and I think with Slot, he doesn't rate a lot of the side. He didn't get basically any signings in this summer because Chiesa clearly wasn't his signing. And I think, you know, Endo probably could have come on 60th minute for me. Obviously, he came on a bit later. I think when you're 1-0 up, Endo's the sub to bring on. I think Chiesa, with what he did at Wembley, should have arguably come on. It's like he only threw on Chiesa at Wembley because they had nothing left. Chiesa drops a really good performance. And while Luis Diaz was great, and I know that Salah's Salah and you don't want to take Salah off, but you 1-0 up, you know, it's not like you're 1-0 down and you need that Salah moment. Put Chiesa on. I think he was better than Nunes. And, you know, Nunes had a decent game today. It was a bit of a shit house. But, you know, was winding Everton up, which is something you want in those derbies. But you have to look at it. And I feel for Chiesa. He reminds me of Donny van der Beek. You know, there was times when McTominay and Fred were so bad, Donny would come and have a good cameo, and then we wouldn't see Donny van der Beek again. You know, and Donny van der Beek was never a player that Ollie wanted. I think Chiesa was not a player that Slot wanted, but Slot was like, I've had no new signings and I need another winger, and this is a good winger for 13 million that I might use. But he doesn't rate Chiesa, and I don't know why, and that was my biggest criticism of Slot. I feel Chiesa deserved some minutes off the bench after the performance that he put in at Wembley and what he brought in the electricity. And I feel like he only brings Chiesa on as a last-ditch option, and I think Chiesa will be gone. I think he will leave. And I think he's been a little bit unfairly treated. I think Slot's done brilliant in his first season, but the biggest questions are, could he have used subs more? I get he hasn't had any of his own players in. And Chiesa, you know, what's that situation there? But I guess that's not really Slot's fault. That's the people at the top of Liverpool who still haven't sorted the contract situation of Salah and Van Dijk, which is ridiculous. You know, they didn't really. I mean, you went for Supermenda, you went for Anthony Gordon, and I guess that it's, you know, buy the player that you think is the player rather than buying someone for the sake of it. Maybe buying Chiesa for the sake of it is obviously proven not a good idea because he's not being used. You know, whereas Liverpool are very much, if they can't get the player they want, they sometimes don't get anyone. But the people at the top of Liverpool need to do better for Slot because he's going to lose Trent. I think you will renew Salah and Van Dijk, but this situation's weird. You need an upgrade on Robertson anyway. You probably need another midfielder for depth because Gravenberch's been ran into the ground. You're going to need an actual striker. You looked at Kvaratskhelia, you looked at Gordon. You clearly want another winger. There's a lot to do. But anyway, let's talk about man of the match, Luis Diaz. I thought Luis Diaz was absolutely excellent today. 1 assist, 6 chances created, 1 big chance created, 5 out of 6 successful dribbles, 5 out of 5 long balls, 1 out of 2 tackles won, 8 out of 10 ground duels won, and 4 recoveries. Now, look at those stats again. They are really good statistics. The ground, not just like attacking output, taking on his man. 6 chances created is really good, but the dribbles, 5 out of 6. The long balls were good, the dribbles were good. He was winning 8 out of 10 duels. He was winning his duels, his recoveries, defensive impact, attacking impact. I thought Luis Diaz put in an unbelievable performance today. Unbelievable performance. And I think Liverpool today were a little bit slow in the first half, but I thought you were a lot better in the second half, a lot quicker. You stepped up to the intensity, but I thought Diaz was a big part of you stepping up to that intensity, the energy he brought. I thought in the second half, he was one of the reasons you stepped up. So I'm going to read out my notes on Diaz. These are my rough notes I forgot to add to the slides. Man of the match for me today, not just the assist, but he was creating everything. He was the guy that everything was going through today, not Salah. He was the one carrying the ball, bringing it up the pitch, making things happen, going inside, going outside his man, being direct. He's confident and taking on his man. He was very unpredictable. He can go outside, inside. And I think, the amount of running he does, not just the speed, but the distance, the amount of running he does, put in a shift in the derby, made so many ball recoveries, was tracking back, winning the ball. He doesn't stop running. He's so electric. His athletic output is crazy. And I thought he was unstoppable today. His pace, his stamina, I thought everything was fantastic. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.